Glam Girls, welcome back to my channel. It's Chelsea, where we talk about all things glam and all things girly. I'm a beauty enthusiast that loves to talk about everything dealing with beauty and makeup, and today we have another foundation showdown to do. We've got the new NARS Light Reflecting Foundation, comparing it to the OG NARS Sheer Glow foundation. I am so ready for this because these foundations are sort of kind of similar, okay? And I remember when this product first was released, one of you all reached out to me and was like, Chelsea, are you gonna get it? And if so, can you please compare it to the NARS Sheer Glow? And I was like, I already got you. So we will be doing at least an 8-hour wear test. Of course, I will be sharing with you a demonstration of both products on the face, how they look in natural lighting, how they look in flash photography, telling you the high points of the products, and then sharing my final thoughts as to how they were at the end of the day. I also picked up, because I didn't see nothing about this, so the NARS Light Reflecting Powder used to only come in one shade, but they have added 3 more shades. So I picked up the shade Shore. So we're gonna be showing how this applies to the cheeks, and I will also be comparing it to, you know, my ride or die Kosas Cloud Set powder, because all things get compared to Kosas Cloud Set. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for spending some time with me today. I truly do appreciate it, and let's get right into this video. So starting with the NARS Sheer Glow foundation, this does retail for $47. It comes in 40 shades, and we get the standard 1 fluid ounce or 30 milliliters of product. I do wear the shade Cadiz in every NARS foundation that I have. I love this shade, and just to describe the shade to you, Cadiz is going to be for medium deep skin with peach undertones. And just for the record, NARS is probably one of my top 2 favorite foundation brands, because I love a foundation with a peach undertone, and oof, I love it. Absolutely love it for my complexion. So getting into the high points of this foundation, it has a medium coverage, it is hydrating, it's good for dullness and uneven texture, it has a radiant finish, and it is suitable for normal, dry, combination, and oily skin. This product also has vitamin C, which is going to brighten the skin and diminish the look of discoloration. And it has turmeric, which enhances skin radiance and evens the look of skin tone. It has powerful antioxidants in it, which will protect against damaging free radicals, while glycerin attracts and holds moisture. And so when they did a clinical test on this foundation, it says that out of 24 participants after 4 weeks, 96% said it evened out their skin tone, 92% said it felt moisturized in terms of their skin, and then 92% said skin looked brighter and more radiant. I have had this foundation now for almost 3 years, and I absolutely love this foundation in terms of its just radiant finish on the skin. I remember when I had more oily skin, I was like, I will not buy this because it says Sheer Glow, and at the time I wanted nothing dealing with glowy foundations. As my skin began to normalize, I was like, well, let me try it, and I was very shocked that this foundation is not nearly as glowy and dewy as I assumed it would be. It really takes on a radiant finish on the skin, and it just makes your skin look brighter and healthier and more youthful. And that's what I love about this foundation. It's one of those foundations that I don't reach for all the time, but if I want, I want something radiant, beautiful, light to medium coverage, not gonna feel heavy, this is definitely one that I'm gonna be considering for that type of look. I do feel like this coverage is light, and I just really enjoy it. It has been an all-around favorite of mine, and I know I don't talk about it so much on my channel, but it is one of those foundations that, if I'm recommending foundations for radiant finishes, I'm gonna definitely say check out NARS Sheer Glow. The only thing I don't like about this foundation is that you have to buy the pump separately, and I'm just like, can we just repackage this and add a pump, please? Can we, NARS? I would just really love for you to do that. That's my only qualm with this foundation. In terms of skin types, I definitely would recommend this for dry, normal combination. I don't know, I feel like if you have oily skin, you might not care for this because it might be a little too radiant for your preferences. Because I do think you know, after wearing this all day, we do get a nice radiant finish, and that might be a little too much for someone who prefers a more matte type of finish. But I definitely feel like if you have dry normal combination, you could definitely enjoy this foundation. Now moving on to the Light Reflecting Foundation. So on this side of the face, we are wearing the new Light Reflecting Foundation. This comes in 37 shades. It retails for $49. And once again, I got the shade Cadiz, and it does have a peach undertone. Now looking at the shades in the Light Reflecting Foundation compared to the shades in Sheer Glow, the shades in Sheer Glow, just looking at the picture, they look more neutral, whereas these tones look definitely more rich. I see more yellows and more golden tones in the Light Reflecting Foundation. So I would definitely say that depending on your shade, especially if you don't know your shade in the NARS foundations, I would say if you can, go in store and see, because if you have a more neutral to cooler undertone, I don't know if the NARS Light Reflecting shades are going to be too golden, yellow, and rich for your complexion. And comparing these two foundations, I feel like the shade Cadiz looked similar, but I felt like the shade Cadiz in the Light Reflecting Foundation definitely was a little more richer, a little more golden than the shade Cadiz in Sheer Glow. So I wanted to point that out. Okay, high points for Light Reflecting. It's going to be good for redness, medium coverage, good for dullness, uneven texture. It has a natural finish, and it's also good for dark spots. So this is an advanced makeup skincare hybrid foundation with a natural finish that quickly blurs and smooths while visibly improves skin's clarity over time. Highlighted ingredients in the Light Reflecting Foundation is going to be biomimetic oat. This will visibly improve clarity by reducing the appearance of redness. Then we have Japanese lily turf, which will support a strong skin barrier by helping maintain moisture. And then lastly, we have cacao peptides and milk thistle. This will minimize the negative effect of blue light and environmental stressors. This formula is supposed to be breathable, and it's going to, like I said, conceal visible redness, blemishes, and dark spots while blurring the look of wrinkles, pores, and texture. This is powered by 70% skincare ingredients for visibly improved clarity, plus light reflecting complex for enhanced luminosity. The up to all day wear formula is suitable for most skin types, including sensitive skin. And this foundation was also put in a clinical study, and of 31 women, after immediate application, it revealed a more even looking skin tone, and that was reported by at least 93% of the participants. And then in a 6-week clinical study of 31 women, it improved the appearance of skin clarity over time, even after makeup was removed. And so when applying this foundation, I was like, there's a beam of light on my face. The radiance that was coming from the foundation, because looking at it, like, the first word that might come to you might be like, oh my God, that is so like glossy and dewy. But it is like the light from my ring lights was hitting the foundation as I was applying it. And I was like, oh my. Like this is something I haven't seen in my foundations ever. This, you know what? This like glossiness reminded me of the glossiness that I get from the Hollywood Flawless Filter by Charlotte Tilbury. However, we're getting like coverage, and it's a foundation. And so I was like, oh, this is gonna be interesting, because immediately I was like, okay, how are we gonna get all day wear? Is it gonna hold up? Is this just gonna look like a hot dewy mess on the cheeks? Like, what are we working with? So blended it into the skin, and as you can see in natural lighting, like these look great. And like I said, in terms of the shades are similar, but I feel like this shade from the Light Reflecting was just a little deeper, a little more rich than Cadiz is. Cadiz pulls, I feel like, not neutral, but it just has a more neutral-ish tone to it. Flash photography, did not see any flashback amongst both of the foundations. And then in natural light inside of my house, I just think these look radiant on the cheeks. But the light reflecting, like you can see light bouncing off of the foundation. And I was just, I'm here for it, y'all. I'm here for it. So I think initially and after, initial application, I was just like, this is gonna be a fun one. So for concealer, I went in with the NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. Oh, here we go. And in this one, I have the shade Medium Dark 2 Caramel. And so getting into the powder. So I've never tried the translucent one, but I remember like eons ago, when I first started getting into YouTube and influencers and products like that, I remember a lot of people really loving this powder. So it comes now in 4 shades. It retails for $49 and we get 0.35 ounces of product or 10 grams of product. And so the shade that I have is Sheer, and it is described for medium to medium deep complexions. This is a pressed powder formula. It has a light coverage, a radiant finish. It's formulated without parabens and phthalates, and it's also vegan. So this is a best-selling pressed powder that locks makeup in place up to all day with a luminous photo-ready finish. So they're microfine mineral powders that have glycerin and vitamin E that will guard against dryness and keep skin comfortable. Then we have the Light Reflecting Complex, which we also find in the Light Reflecting Foundation, that will visibly restore skin's youthful radiance. And then photochromic technology that will offer no flashback, and it will make skin look perfect in person and on camera. Lastly, it's going to create a soft focus effect by optically fading the appearance of fine lines, wrinkles, and pores. So I applied this with my Sonia G Smooth Buffer Brush. Can't find where it is, so anywho, you all probably know what that brush looks like by now. I took that brush and swirled it into the pan because when I looked at the how to use, it said to take a brush and to swirl it a few times before applying it onto the skin. And I wanna say it's probably just to kind of break up the powder some and get the powder moving, because this is a pressed powder formula, but it also looks like it's almost like it has a gelée type of texture to it. So I swirled my Sonia G brush in it a few times, and then I started to buff it into the cheeks, and I was like, this is nice, this is nice. You definitely can see the powder being buffed into the skin, and it really creates a nice flawless effect to the face. And I immediately was like, gotta compare it to the Gucci powder, because if you all know, I've been loving that powder because of its flawless effect that it has on the skin as well. So comparison coming later. So I buffed it all over the face, and I was like, oh, this is nice. Because when I got to the Light Reflecting Foundation, I was like, now is this gonna dull the luminosity that's coming from this foundation? And in my opinion, it didn't. It just really kept that luminosity, but then it set it so that, if that was a little too much for me, but I didn't want to lose the luminosity of the foundation, I didn't do that with this powder. And I felt for Sheer Glow, once again, we're not overly setting the Sheer Glow. We still see the radiance from it, but we're also setting it. So I was like, oh, this is nice. So then after that, I went in with another brush, and I used it to set the under eye here, and then I used Cashapp under my eye here. And upon initial application, and you all let me know your thoughts below, I did feel that the Cashapp had a more mattifying effect on this under eye here. I felt like the under eye here still kept that luminosity, but I was able to set my concealer. Now, I'm so sorry that I didn't get this on camera, but when I was applying my eye makeup, I noticed that the concealer was breaking up a little more here. And I'll come in closer because maybe you can see it if I look up. Like right along here, I felt like the concealer broke apart some, versus I didn't see that same breaking apart on this side. And I wonder if it's because the Cashapp powder sets the face more and is able to hold the liquid in place more. I'll have to experiment again and see if that's the case with this. I don't want to call it right now because this is a first impression with me using this powder, but I did notice that, so I do want to point that out, that this might be a better kind of all over face powder versus an under eye setting powder. like I said, I'll update you all on that because I do want to compare this and see, you know, is it necessarily the powder? Was today just kind of like an off day for me? And, you know, my under eyes, I don't know. But I do really like the overall effect that this powder does have on the face. I'm like, okay, I like this, I like this. So this is what my face is looking like after 5 hours of wear. And coming in close, I mean, the radiance, guys, the radiance. So I do have on a cream blush by Danessa Myricks. If you missed it, yesterday I uploaded a video reviewing her new Dewy Cheek and Lip Palette. So I have on this blush shade here and then these two shades on my lips. And I just used a small amount, so the radiance that we see here is coming from the blush. But looking all at the face, you do still see some radiance coming from both sides of my face. So both foundations I feel are looking radiant, but I don't feel like they're looking dewy and oily and like there's an oil slick going on over my face. I feel like my face looks like I've been drinking water, I do my skincare every night, you know, like all the things. In terms of like pore smoothing, I do feel like my pores do look diminished. So I do tend to have pores like right here on my cheeks, and I have pores along my forehead. And I do feel like my pores are not as noticeable. I did not use any type of primer on my face at all. The only thing on my face that I put before I put on the foundation, I used the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. I put that on my face and then I put on the foundations. Of course, I let time lapse between the two before I put on the foundation. So that's all I have on my face. And I do feel like that my pores are not overly accentuated onto the cheeks. And I feel like my face just looks very radiant, put together, and quite smooth. Even over my texture, I feel like the foundation looks really nice. And a lot of times if I have texture on my face and I'm wearing like a dewy, more radiant type of foundation, sometimes it over accentuates those bumps and it's not complimentary. And I find myself either reaching for a powder to smooth it over or just switching to a less dewy foundation because I don't want those areas to be over accentuated. And I feel like you can see my texture. I've got hairs from my hair sticking underneath here. But I feel like it doesn't look terrible or like, oof, she has all those bumps on her face because like the foundation is overly accentuating it. I do want to use this powder, here we go. So I do want to use the powder and show you all how it buffs over my acne, because that's one of the favorite things I love about the Gucci powder is that it just really gives a filtered look over texture, and I feel like this one does as well. So just buffing that over this area, and now it just looks a lot more smooth in that area. Can y'all see that? It looks really nice. And I do like this shade. I don't think this shade is too light to use all over my face, but I love like that just radiance that comes from the powder along with the foundation. So I am here for this new NARS Light Reflecting Foundation and the powder. But Sheer Glow, honey, don't sleep on Sheer Glow either, because if I'm being honest, I don't know which one is better. I can't call it right now. I need to wait a few more hours, at least till we hit the 8-hour mark, to see what they're looking like. I don't know yet, because both sides are looking really nice. So let's finish the day. I'll check back in at the end of the day and share with you my final thoughts. So stay. Okay guys, we are back. It is the end of the day and I've had both of these foundations on for 9 hours. So let's come in close and see how things are looking. So remember, we have Sheer Glow on this side and then the new Light Reflecting Foundation on this side. And I feel like you can still see a lot of luminosity and radiance coming from this light reflecting side. I feel like the Sheer Glow compared to the Light Reflecting Foundation almost looks a little more like a demi matte. So not matte and dry, obviously, but it just doesn't look as luminous and as radiant. Looking at just my skin from afar, I still feel like both sides look really nice, and you do see some radiance from the Sheer Glow side. You just see more of it from the light reflecting side. And throughout the day, I had been looking at my face and I was just like, I really like how light bounces off the light reflecting side. And seeing them side by side, you just don't see that on the Sheer Glow side. So just wanting to remind us of like some of the high points that make these two foundations different. So for the light reflecting foundation, the finish of it is going to be natural. It's going to have medium buildable coverage, and the benefits of this particular foundation is to number one, it's a makeup skincare hybrid, and then it has a vegan formula, and it's going to be breathable and have all day wear. It's going to target dull skin. It's going to even out wrinkles and just overall make the skin look more radiant. Whereas Sheer Glow, the finish is natural. It says that the coverage is sheer buildable, and it's going to be a lightweight hydrating formula that will improve radiance and even skin tone. So remember, Sheer Glow was more so evening skin tone, toning down redness. The light reflecting was also targeting dark spots as well. I think formulation wise, these two are quite similar, but like I said, the biggest difference formulation wise in terms of how they look on the skin is that the light reflecting is going to be more luminous and more radiant looking on the skin. Now both of these feel very lightweight. My face does not feel heavy or like it has foundation on it, so that's great. And I've really enjoyed wearing both of them. So coming down to who these foundations work for and and if these would be good for you. Number one, the light reflecting does have a vegan formula. So if that is important to you, Sheer Glow doesn't. So that might be a determining factor. Second, shade range. So both foundations give a really good shade range. But from what I can see, because I haven't, obviously swatched all of them, but from what I can see, Sheer Glow has shades that tend to lean a little more neutral light. They don't look as like overly golden or overly yellow or overly pink, whereas the light reflecting does have like richer, more golden, more yellow tones in the foundation. So depending on your undertones, one or the other might work better for you. I would say if you know your shade in NARS in another foundation, I would say it would be a really good bet to get the same shade in the light reflecting foundation. At least for me, Cadiz and Sheer Glow and Cadiz and the light reflecting are going to be looking pretty much spot on. So I would say if you can find your shade, go for that shade first. And then in terms of actual skin types, I think that if you have oily skin, I don't know if either one of these are going to be your cup of tea based on what you prefer in your foundation. So if you're someone who's like, I just like very matte coverage, I don't want any radiance or dew, neither one of these are going to be your cup of tea. And I would recommend, if you like more matte foundations, try the NARS Soft Matte Foundation, because oh my goodness me, this is such a beautiful, pretty, like soft matte look that lasts all day. I wear the same shade, Cadiz. I did do a whole review on this, so I'll link it for you, and I think you would really enjoy it. Now, if you have combination oily skin and you like a little bit of radiance, but you still don't really want too much, I would probably say check out Sheer Glow. Sheer Glow might be more so your speed because, like I said, I feel like, especially looking right here on the apples of my cheeks and around my nose, we see more like radiance and dew coming from the light reflecting side than we do the Sheer Glow side. So I think this is a natural finish that, with your mattifying primers, maybe your mattifying setting spray and powder, you could be comfortable wearing this one because I don't think it's gonna come off being too dewy and radiant. And then if you have normal dry skin, I think either one could work for you. If you have drier skin, you might like the light reflecting over the Sheer Glow, especially if you want your skin to look very dewy and hydrated looking. And just like I said, the way that light bounces off of this one, it just makes the skin look so radiant and dewy. So I don't think you can go wrong with either one depending on your preferences. I still thoroughly enjoy Sheer Glow and I'm going to continue to use it, but if I had to choose which side I like better, I'm going for the light reflecting because it's just like, everything just looks so much more smooth on this side of my face. Like even when I was applying my bronzer, I applied the LYS bronzer in the shade Courage, and I mean, I felt like the bronzer just melted into my skin, and it is an amazing bronzer, so I don't take anything from it, but I felt like the bronzer melted into my skin on this side. On this side of my face, I felt like I had to kind of blend it in a little bit more, and at one point I'm like, why is this looking muddy? Like, I don't know if it's just my skin over here that doesn't like bronzer, but I felt like this side just looked so smooth and just like flawless. And I was just like, I can rocks with you, light reflecting. I can rocks with you. So this, remember, this is the light reflecting powder, and it's supposed to add very light coverage, a luminous finish, sets the makeup, but it's not gonna leave your face looking dry. And I definitely want to play with this more. I feel like it definitely, I do feel like it did set my face, but I feel like, I don't know if I still see any powder, which is technically the point of the powder. It's supposed to be undetectable on the skin. So I do want to try this with other foundations that I'm familiar with in terms of like how it sets, the prolonging of it. And like I said, I do want to compare this powder to the Gucci powder, because that one, I know how that works, and I can like better compare it to this one. I also want to use the puff that comes with it to see if this would provide more coverage, just so, you know, if you would like more coverage from it, to see how you can get coverage from it. But off of first impressions and like comparing it to the Kosas powder, I don't think it's going to set your makeup as well as more of a, if I can say, a traditional setting powder. The reason why I say that, if I come in close looking at my under eyes, so I feel like we see the concealer breaking up more on this side than we do this side. You all tell me down below what you think and what you see, because I set this side with Kosas and I set this side with the light reflecting powder. My under eye over here looks more smooth than it does over here. So my first initial thought, I would say that this powder is going to definitely be for people who do not like powder. Like, I immediately think of the Dior No Powder powder, and I actually decluttered that, but I want to actually get it again because I think it wasn't working for me because I wasn't using the right tool to apply it. So I am gonna buy that one again, and I will compare those two as well, because I think that might be a better comparison versus the Gucci powder and this one, because they're very similar. So I think if you don't like powder, but you wanna set your makeup, this could work. But depending on how you want your makeup set, like, still going with my Kosas on this one in terms of just setting my concealer, making that area look more flawless, and like actually holding the concealer in place, because I feel like this side I just see more, like I said, the concealer breaking up, and it just doesn't look as smooth. But on the face, I thought this looked really pretty. And let's do this. Let's touch up around the nose and see how that looks. So I'm gonna go in with the sponge and just gonna slide that in here. And then I'm gonna press it onto the face. Ooh, okay, so we definitely get more coverage. Look at that. That kind of looks like I put too much on. Okay. But yes, that definitely toned down the dew, so I applied too much. So word to the wise, don't just do what I did. Now let me go in with my Sonia G Smooth Buffer Brush and see if I can fix this. And now, oof, that looks very bad. Very, very bad in terms of what I just did. Ooh, that looks nasty. Okay, so this is not a touching up type of powder, or at least the way that I just did it. Don't do that. Because now, look at that. That looks horrible. So let's just use this brush on this side and see how that looks. I don't like it. I don't like it for touching up. So this is maybe not a touch-up powder. This might just be an initial application and just let it be. So I don't know about using this for touching up, and I will definitely report back to you all after I've used it with other foundations, because this is no. But when I initially applied it, and even when I applied it at the 5-hour mark, it looked really nice, and I thought it blended in really pretty. So I'm not gonna totally say it's a pass. I definitely do not think this is like your touching up powder. So sorry that I almost forgot this. I'm gonna cut back to the original footage because I'm definitely not ending the video like this. So see y'all in the next footage. So let me know your thoughts down below. Which side do you think looks better? You know, which one do you think you'll prefer? Is this your cup of tea? I would love to hear all of that down in the comment section below. And if you've made it to this point in the video and you have yet to subscribe to my channel, I would love for you to consider subscribing and joining the Glam Girl Squad. And guys, that is it. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope to see you in my very next video. Bye guys.